Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Our first guest of tonight is Dan Mauz from Keller Williams in Washington Township. Dan, welcome to Mr. Mortgage Neighborhood.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great to have you. We like to talk a little bit to start off with the pre-real estate Dan. So tell everybody a little bit about what Dan was like before the real estate industry, if you can remember back that far, and how you got into this business. Because most people don't say in second grade, when I grow up, I want to be a real estate agent. You know,
Yeah, that definitely didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a pre-real estate Dan because I was a junior in college.
Okay.
And I got licensed because we wanted to be investors.
Okay.
And then I started working for a friend's uncle, and I was part-time. And when I ended up, I was bussing tables. So I literally was at Charlie Brown's of Blackwood bussing tables. Next thing you know, I'm getting my real estate license and working with clients and working as an admin. And when I graduated, I was like, finance or real estate? I was interviewing, I'm like, the finance was not for me. I got my foot in real estate and I went with it.
Nice. You know what's crazy? I grew up in the restaurant business. Whenever I find out somebody worked in the restaurant business, I'm like, oh, they're cool. Because you just don't meet a lot of people that deal with the public and all the stuff that you have to deal with in a restaurant that are like, so there's always like, oh, like.
I couldn't take that step to go be a server. I loved being a busser and that was my responsibility and that was it. I couldn't do the server thing.
Yeah.
Holding that tray, I just couldn't do it.
I did server. I used to work at Chez Robert back in the day, like literally from 13 years old to 25 years old. I was doing all kinds of restaurant stuff. But they're always the coolest people. So technically, I guess I would say you're mostly a listing agent, is that right?
Yes.
Over the last little bit. How did you evolve? Because most people when they start are, I'll take anything I can get, to primarily a listing agent.
Yeah. So I will still take anything I can get.
Sure, right.
No, so what happened was when about 2.5 years in, I realized, that if I was going to really do real estate full time, I needed to find a company that had a little bit more training, and I was going through some things with training, but I realized I needed something else, right? So I ended up finding Keller Williams over in Cherry Hill, and I went there and I just kind of dove in. I dove into the prospecting. I called expires. My first listing at Keller Williams, I took an expired listing. It was in December. I remember picking up the phone on Christmas Eve at my mom's house, and I'm negotiating that deal out, and that was a 7% listing actually.
That's awesome.
7% one, and never took another 7% listing again.
That was it, your one banger.
Yeah, and I stopped calling expires because then I got in the rhythm of, oh wait, I gotta go handle this transaction and all that, right?
Right.
And, but I learned over time, I hired a coach, and we stayed focused on prospecting. I picked up the phone, I called my database. A lot of our business comes from referrals and repeat customers, things like that. Now across the country with agents getting in touch with us because they see the production level that we've grown to. Sure. But I called expired listings for sale by owners. I'll message people on Facebook. I just got out there and networked and just kept pushing, and then eventually, you get enough business to where you can't handle it all.
Right.
So I'm very big on being able to provide customer service. So through leverage, I've been able to have assistants and things like that, and then now grow to provide opportunity for agents.
For a team, nice. Now you said coach, and I always perk up a little bit because I was the dude who was anti-coach for years, and then got a coach, and feel like such an idiot because I should have been. One of the people I respect the most said, Tiger Woods has a coach. And you're definitely not the Tiger Woods of mortgage, so you need to get a coach. And I was like, all right, cool.
Right.
You're right. There you go. So, how did that decision come about? How did you say, hey, I need a coach, and what's that journey been like to have somebody like that?
So the reason I went to Keller Williams was because as a young agent, I got into business. I was 20, turning 21.
Okay.
Went to Keller Williams in November of 2007, so I was probably 23, 24 years old, and I had a hard time because I needed to, number one, I needed to build myself up as far as skill set wise, right? I still had 3 years under my belt, but it was still hard to go find clients on my own. Now I went from being an assistant, getting a salary of, small salary, and commission to being solely an agent.
Right, right.
So wasn't, I was like, man, what am I gonna do? I even remember putting a month or two of credit card, a month or two of debt for my, what I needed to live.
Sure, life
which wasn't a
expenses.
lot,
Right.
at that time, right? But I wrote credit card access checks to myself and deposited them, and I'm like, I don't ever wanna get back there, right?
Yeah.
So the coach came about because I wanted the training, I wanted all that, and I just, at first, it's funny, because I tell this story of, it was $300 a month.
Right.
And at that point, I'm like, man, how am I gonna afford this?
Mm-hmm.
And now I look at it like, wow, what if I never took that investment in
Yeah,
myself?
for sure.
I don't look at it as an expense.
As an investment.
I look at it as an investment, and it just so happened to fall in my lap. I wasn't seeking coaching, but one of our owners was getting out of the ownership, and he was getting into coaching, and I've been
Okay.
with him ever since. I want to say it was 2010.
Nice.
So now I also do some coaching alongside with him. So I have 4 clients myself that I'm coaching because, they've seen what I've been able to do over time. But I love to give back in that capacity
Mhm.
because I know that my coach could have fired me a long time ago.
Sure.
And he stuck in there, and we went hard with what we were doing. And I remember going from, 2 transactions a month to 4 to 5 to 10. And,
Right.
it's crazy. But
Yeah.
never imagined that, sitting
Yeah.
down on this.
That's awesome. Now, do you have, like, some people have, this is my client, you know what I mean? This is my textbook person that I'm looking for. Do you have that type of thing, or are you kind of, I'll sell luxury homes and I'll sell
Yeah.
townhouses?
I don't really have someone that is like, hey, this is my niche.
Right.
I think we're just so, I've become so well versed in short sales, foreclosures. We can sell the higher end property, right? We know how to market that. I got in at 20 years old, I've seen some people through the first time buyer to the move up buyer, and
Mhm.
now some people want to invest. I got in to be an investor.
Right.
And then when I started taking care of my clients, the investor hat kind of got put to the side and the real estate hat came on, and I became an agent. And when I found was with like my rental properties, I was putting my clients' needs before my own. So my properties would sit vacant for like 3 to 6 months, and I'm like, what am I doing here, right? So I'm very like service-based in that area, so I never really said, I don't want this client, I don't want that client, I just want this one. I've taken it all, and I mean, our group has, last year we closed 261 transactions,
That's
so,
awesome.
it's just,
Okay.
I can't, I could never feel like, if it was a $15,000 listing, I still would help
We
them.
take it anyway, right. So, times now are a little, it's always tough. Now you've been doing it for a while. It's a cycle, it's all, ups and downs, whatever. But in the current environment that we're in right now, if you are talking to someone who says, hey, I think I want to list my house, what's 1 or 2 things that you would give as, guidance or as tips for someone who's thinking about selling their property in this current environment now?
So I think a lot of people think that they can get away with not doing things to get the house ready, right?
Mhm.
So that's always first and foremost is you have to get your house ready. You still need to make sure that your house is better than the house next door.
Gotcha.
And the house down the street, because preparing the home for sale is step number 1. Number 2 is, I've actually had some clients that we've gotten it under contract or we've gotten offers, and then they've kind of said, you know what, I don't think we want to do this. I've had a couple people pull out of the sale. So honestly, knowing the exit strategy up front,
Right.
it's so basic, but everybody keeps talking about going back to the basics, and that is 100%. If they don't know where they're going or what that exit strategy is, at the end of the day, they should not be pulling the plug on this.
Okay.
And we have to give that advice at times.
Sure. Now, the first part of it was getting it prepared for sale. Are you talking about simple things like decluttering, or are you getting into like, hey, you have really loud colored walls and you need to whiten them up or something like that?
Anything and everything that we think. I just went to someone's house yesterday and gave them advice that they should paint and put new floors in. And it could be as simple as, hey, let's move some of this furniture around. Like, I'm not a home stager by any means, but you see enough homes that you kind of give some advice. But it's kind of, like you said, the decluttering, that's a given. Depersonalizing in a lot of ways. But definitely, if there's some bold colors and they're willing to put the work into it, you know, you go through there and really see. And then, I mean, upgrades can be relatively inexpensive.
Sure.
Honestly, especially if they're handy, which I'm not, so it would be kind of expensive for me. But, no, it could be, you know, it could be changing out some light fixtures, making them look more modern.
Right.
I try to give the advice to keep a little bit of money in their pocket, because I know that, you know, you're gonna redo a kitchen, they're gonna end up doing too much.
Right, right.
And then figure that the investment wasn't worth it.
Right. Now, do you have a set dollar figure in your mind when you're giving that advice, like, hey, we have to make it so that for every one you put in, you get two out kind of thing, or?
I think in the back of my head I have that, but I don't necessarily look at it that way.
Right.
I just look at it as though, hey, look, you wanna maximize your investment here, this is what I would recommend doing
Sure.
in today's world.
Right. And if it's like they have a horrendous avocado green kitchen,
Yes.
you gotta just go all in on that, or
Yeah.
you're gonna be looking at a lower bottom
Yeah, that's the
level
thing is,
offer.
hey, you don't wanna do this, that's fine. And I think that's one of the things that set me apart over time, was really learning how to help guide in pricing. Because look, we just interpret the market, we're not
Right.
making it, you know that. You know,
Right.
we're interpreting what's gonna happen if we list it, and right now, you know, you can go a little bit higher in price at times, but we're starting to see that that's starting to have an impact. You know,
Mhm.
and houses are sitting on the market, you're seeing price reductions. Ultimately, you know, you don't want your house to be on the market for more than 2 or 3 weeks,
Right.
because really, when it's first listed, it should sell.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the goal.
Yeah, for sure, especially now, you know, if a property's on the market for 45 days,
It's,
There's a
yeah,
problem.
there's a bigger problem.
you know, there's red flags all over the place, and,
Yep.
and then you're getting lowball offers for that.
Exactly.
For sure. All right, so now let's go future. We went past, let's go future. 2024, July 2024, where is Dan Mauz, the Mauz Group? Give me some check boxes you have for goals and things you want to
Yep.
accomplish in the next 2 years.
So I'm not gonna lie, right now, this is a kick in the teeth this year. You know, I was working on progressing out of sales, and it kind of backfired without the growth. I wanna get this business to a $100 million team.
Okay?
We were at 66 million last year, and I wanna get this to a $100 million team. And really, I mean, I actually have 2 coaches.
Okay.
So right now I have another coach that I had a call with today, and we talked about values. And my core values are growth, accomplishment, and I'm stuttering because I'm like, oh wait, I'm making sure I don't get it wrong. Growth, accomplishment, abundance, impact, and appreciation.
Okay.
And when we really dug into it, those qualities need to be in someone that I grow with. Because I want to provide opportunity for another agent to succeed.
Sure.
There's nothing better than seeing one of my agents in my group crushing it.
Nice.
You know, because I know that they're achieving their goals, they're going to be able to live a life that they want to set out to live, and I'm helping do that.
Okay, so follow up to that. You talked a little bit about it, but what are some of the things that you would be looking for if someone's watching us and saying, hey, maybe I want to join Dan's team, maybe I want to go under him, because sometimes team is a buzzword, a dirty word, and sometimes people love it and can't do without it. So what would be 1 or 2 things that you would be looking for if someone was watching us to go, hey, that's me?
Yeah. So it's funny you use the word team, because I'm trying to get that out of my vocabulary, because ultimately what we're building is business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people that get into this industry, they just think agent, right? And the public thinks agent. So when I tell someone, hey, I don't work the buyer side, I have agents on my group that
Right.
do, it confuses them, because like, wait, you're a real estate agent, you work buyers and sellers. And I wish I could take on every client, but you know, you're there to provide a service for somebody. So what I'm looking for is someone who's growth focused. You know, I never stop learning. I go to educational events, I still script practice. You know, we're talking about Tiger Woods having a coach, right? Well, look at professional sports players and how much they practice.
sure.
I still practice scripts. I still practice presentations. That's never gonna stop. And now as a leader, I have to practice leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone that, you know, wants to achieve, I mean, their goal setting, right? And that's where the accomplishment comes in.
Right.
You know, thinking back, you know, when I was chasing 100 units back in 2015, I was I was laser focused on it, and it's all I thought about was who's my next appointment, right?
Right.
So I want someone that's gonna, be driven to have that sense of accomplishment. And last is, I think, someone that appreciates the opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's why I haven't given thought to, oh, well, this is my niche client, right? Because I appreciate any opportunity I get. And
Right.
it can be a renter. I'll still talk to them, and I've turned tenants into buyers and
Sure.
landlords into sellers, and help them maximize their investments and become a homeowner. And I think those key attributes are really what drive me. And I think that's what my vision is, to leave a legacy of influence and wealth for my children and generations to come, but also help people do the same.
Yeah, it's tough. I talk about it all the time because I have a bunch of people here that I'm responsible for that work for me. I always think about how I'm impacting them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you, I've been in positions where people have left
Yeah.
because they couldn't make it off money. And that was like, you might as well kick me in the groin,
Right.
because it's like, man, I do not want to fail the people that I'm leading. And when someone says I can't make enough money, they're like, oh, that's absolutely on me. I
Without
gotta
a
fix
doubt, and we do, and as leaders, we shoulder that, and we always put the blame on ourselves. However, what I am learning is, you and I can't motivate people.
it. Yeah,
And that's I think the last attribute is I need someone that's motivated.
Yeah.
Someone that's gonna, not be afraid to pick up the phone and do the things that, I'm not saying that what I did was the only way to do it, right? There's many agents that do it a different way. But I know what I did to be successful, and if they could follow me and learn from me and shadow me, I know I can do the same.
yeah. I have yet to figure out how to teach somebody work ethic. You can kind of give them examples, and you can kind of be there, and you can yell with a bullhorn in their ear, but if they're not, phone bangers, or if they're not really into it, there's really not much you can do.
You can't, and look, we're in a contact sport.
Yeah,
And the more people you talk to, the more people you have an opportunity to help and better chance of success. I mean, it's the bottom line is if you're not talking to people, you're not gonna grow a business.
for sure, no matter what. All right, your final question, your personal question. If you could interview any person, alive or dead, for a half an hour, who would it be, and what would you want to talk to them about?
Wow, I don't think I've really ever been asked this question. That's deep. My initial thought is I've become very much of a follower of Jim Rohn.
Okay.
A lot
Love Jim Rohn.
of the leadership training that I listen to and podcasts and everything, a lot of Jim Rohn concepts behind it. I mean, obviously, Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy are, two guys that are followers of him. And what I would ask him, man, I couldn't even tell you where to begin.
Yeah, it would be a stuttering conversation for sure.
I think just, I honestly couldn't even tell you.
Nice. That's all right. Hey,
I
listen,
couldn't.
that's a great answer. I've had some all over the place. Someone says Jesus, someone says Adolf Hitler, someone says a bunch of different
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like it gives a little bit of a window inside what people think, because people see Dan on a poster or on a for sale sign, but they don't know you. That's part of the reason why I like to do this, because we're all humans, and it's like, you kind of want to know what's going on with the people. You don't have to talk about your deepest, darkest secrets, but a lot of times they see people and they don't picture you as human. You know what I mean? They picture you as this, you're this perfect dude who doesn't make mistakes, and you sell all kinds of real estate,
Right.
and you do all this.
Far from it.
But it's like, oh no, I'm a human.
Yep.
I'm just like you. We breathe, and
Yeah.
I've been running in a lot of circles of the people in like John Maxwell and these guys
Yep.
out there. And when you talk to them, they're like, no, I have self-doubt. I have days where I don't want to get out of bed. I have lazy days, and it's important for people to know that that's everybody. It's not just you or whatever. It's everyone. They feel like that.
And as right now, reason for Jim Rohn is because I'm big on leadership, and leadership can be lonely, you know, and we have to motivate ourselves every day. We have to always turn it on, and it can lead you to burnout,
Yeah.
right? You know, and I just went to a networking event the other day, and a guy was talking, the speaker was talking about burnout and looking at burnout in a positive way, right? And I never thought of it that way, but if you change the way you look at things, you know,
Yeah.
things are going to start to change for you.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, Dan. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
having me.
stopping by. We'll be right back with the next guest on Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood.